Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so just to get this off my chest first, this is my first art talk, so we have no idea what's going to happen here. I have a script, I may go off script, and then we'll be on an adventure together. So I wanted to start out by saying that most artists, I believe, are introverts. And so what y'all do with us is you make us go to these cocktail parties that we call openings and talk to people, and you make us talk about our work. And if we actually could talk about our work, we wouldn't have to make it. So, we want to talk about that. So I'm going to talk a little bit about my process first. I work in acrylics and then with a bunch of other stuff. So crayons and pencils and markers and collage. I've been using a lot of different techniques. I'm still like experimenting all the time. So even if you look around at the work that I've done in this gallery, you'll see that there's a bunch of different kinds of things are not exactly all the same. So, but my work I think does have some things in common. One is that I'm always looking for a design. So a really strong design, something that I find pleasing. A lot of my work has diagonal movement in it. There's a lot of different ways to compose a painting. And I tend to sort of be attracted to diagonals because for me they're the most dynamic. So you may see that in my work. But color is my first love. So when I first started painting, that was the first thing that I started playing with. I'm really intrigued by how our eyes work and how you can put the same color next to two different colors and it will look completely different. And so I've played a lot with color and I continue to do that and I love it. So you probably will never see me do something that's completely black and white because I don't want to. Okay. So, and I think especially with abstract art, there's always a tension or a balance between technique and then what the artist is actually feeling in the moment. And I think often we don't even know what we're feeling, but it still somehow informs the work that we do. So this brings me to this book, which some of you may already be familiar with. It's Your Brain on Art. And this book was wonderful for me because neuroscience has finally caught up with what artists have intuitively known, which is that looking at art and making art is healing. It increases the neuroplasticity of our brains, which just means that we can change. And it heals us. And so I can't speak for other artists, but I can speak for myself, and I see a through line in my life from a whole bunch of stuff that would appear to be very different, but when it really look at it, it was all about healing. And so painting for me is a very healing activity. And I think that, I don't know this for sure, but I suspect that all artists are always in the process of healing themselves. And I think that some artists wind up in a place where they also heal community. And I think that's also why everybody's art is so different, because we're all giving ourselves exactly what it is that we need. And some art is not pretty, and I think that's just about what that person needs to be doing at the time. For me, beauty matters. And with so much, the world right now seems to be such a painful and ugly place in a lot of ways. And so beauty matters even more. And I think it matters to me, but I also think it matters overall. It reminds me that the God that I believe in is still here at work, making things beautiful. The other thing that heals people is nature. and being in nature. And so that's kind of where the tie-in with Garden View happens, because that is such a beautiful place. I actually believe I did have the opportunity. I was blessed to meet Henry and spend a little time with him a few times. And I think that Henry found that ugly piece of land and he healed that piece of land. And I also think that Henry healed himself. I think going to war for anybody is a very disruptive and painful experience. And I think Henry was healing himself and healing Garden View. And then after a while, he went about starting to heal the community when he gifted Garden View to the public. And so I've gotten a lot of peace and inspiration and healing from my own visits to Garden View, and it's something that I really wanted to share with more people. And then this gallery and the things that Sarah's been doing here, which is also about healing the Libby, which is the name of this building for anybody that doesn't know that. She's been healing Libby a little bit at a time. And Sarah's also been healing the community. She's really been doing a lot of work for Old Brooklyn. And so those two things together, Garden View and Pinwheel, that just really resonated with me, that they belong together, that they could create community together. And so that is, I saw that as a natural match. And so that is the end of my talking. I hope you guys have questions. I'd love to have a conversation.
There's two pictures in the other room of leaves. Did you do that? Those?
I did.
The fall leaves?
I did the two that are about this big.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
How did they paint those?
I
The
love
colors
that you
are so
asked me
realistic.
that. You know that you're the fourth person to ask me that question. So I started by painting just a bunch of bright colors on a canvas, and then I got a bunch of leaves, and I laid the leaves on the canvas, and then I spray painted over the whole thing and then pulled the leaves away. And then to create the depth, then I used medium and paint and created glazes so that I covered over some of those leaves so that they would recede into the background. And then one of those paintings didn't have enough leaves on it, so I collaged a couple more leaves onto that painting.
Fantastic, really well done.
Thank you.
Thank you, Nancy.
Did you have a favorite season that you did?
Yeah, probably spring, late spring, early summer, because I'm all the color.
Because I happen to know you didn't enjoy it. I happen to know that.
Yeah, that was torture.
Me again. Paula, here you go.
Did you, as a child or a teenager or young person, feel this urge to paint, or you just put on and come?
I always arted
Okay.
in some way. It wasn't always painting. I drew a lot as a kid. When it's interesting, like I said, there's a through line. I noticed that, like after a surgery, I got real interested in mosaics, and I think it was about putting myself back together as, as my body was healing. So there's been different things at different times, but there's always been something I need to create, and it's really like I need to. And when I start to get cranky, my husband says, "Would you please go paint something?" He knows that that's going to shift my mood.
I'm scientifically oriented, okay? And whenever I see like a picture or a painting, I want to know what kind of tree it was, what kind of flowers it was, Virginia bluebells, whatever. And are you the kind of artist that paints to paint, or when you see a flower, do you want to know more about the flower, like what it is, a mayapple, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think both. I love my iPhone because I can take a picture of something and then ask it what that thing is and learn something about it. But I don't necessarily need to know something about it to wanna paint it because the structure of it or the color of it might just appeal to me. So I think both.
Thank you.
Hi, of the
Hi.
pieces you've painted here personally, what's your favorite of yours, of your own, and why?
I like the pond in the other room, the blue and the green one,
The far
that's
wall?
on that far
Mhm,
wall.
mhm.
With the heron?
No, not the heron one, the other one. I like that one, and it's like, there's probably between 4 to 6 things that I've ever painted that I've been totally happy with. And that's one,
I get it.
you know, where you don't look at it and
Yeah.
say, you know,
Ah,
I
should've
could have
done
done
this
that a little
differently. Yes,
differently.
yes.
Yeah, that one, I look at it and I go, yeah, I like that
That
one.
one's okay.
Yeah, that one's okay.
Love it.
That one.
Yeah, I like that one too. Even though it was winter.
And that's how I knew you didn't like winter, because you brought it in and you said, I'm not enjoying this.
You were talking about when you put down the color and then depending upon what colors you have on either side, it turns out different, you know, depending on the shade. Have you ever painted something and like halfway through you stand back and you realize that's not the color I wanted and had to like correct it because you weren't sure how the colors were?
Absolutely. I also keep painting until, I mean, some of these paintings, like that one in particular, I think there's 5 different paintings under that. Because I will just keep painting over, that's one of the beauties of acrylics. Like watercolors are not very forgiving, but with acrylics, you can just keep painting. And so I often do that until I'm satisfied.
Thank you.
You're welcome.